Alright, so today's video, we are going to talk about something interesting. So Bungie messaged this on their Destiny the Game account, which is Destiny 2. It says initializing nanomachine fabrication, fabricating nanomachines, calibrating nanomachines, naming nanomachines, still working, nanomachines deployed. So, as you can see underneath it, I posted some stuff. These are to do with this week's story. Obviously, this is nanomachines they called. They weren't Siva or anything, but I said nanomachine name updated Ultimate Siva, just to be funny, because, we all want Siva back. But then I thought about something. I've been thinking about it for a while, how they could bring Siva, so I posted a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to go over what I posted, but we're also going to talk more in depth, or at least a little bit more in depth what I mean by this. So let's start off. I say Siva enhancement for weapons and abilities when put on weapons, on a weapon. I meant to put on a weapon, not weapons, whoops. Allows for an additional element on a weapon for example, hopefully people understand that. Stasis hand cannon, I can put either strand or arc, solar or void, as well as base stasis, so I can create slow threadlings. Obviously, that would be because it's stasis, it could cause slow, or it could be headstone, but it'd be cool if it could create slow as well, hence why I put it there. And then I put under that, whoops, or a stasis shard that explodes with solar when broken, or a slow and scorch effect on hits, so on. Basically anything that affect scorch, ignition, slow, freeze, crystals, jolt, volatile threadlings, the strand nanites, I couldn't think of what they were called at the time, can be combined with two elements on one weapon. More below, to create unique and crazy combinations, as well as gives a boost of stats when you fully unlock it. Then there's the ability Siva upgrades, allows you to gain more range and quicker speeds to activate supers and abilities and combo them. For example, you have a arc melee for Warlock, chains farther and causes jolt on end of chain, or threadling grenades spread, which I know you're like arc melee. Like, I was just using an example, like what it would be like individually without like a buff or anything. It was just like arc melee period. This is what it would do. It'd be farther, and it would gain more. It jolt at the very end of the melee when you like zap somebody, right? Um, Threadling grenades spread scorch on hits and small ignitions on a kill. A tight melee that volatiles the enemy on hits and bigger explosions on kills. On to supers. Nova Bomb gains increased range and tracking with threadlings that come out and attack on detonation. A Golden Gun Hunter that does volatile on hits as well as ignitions on kills. A misleading Titan. That was not spelled right, but it's fine. That jolts freeze. I meant to say a super Titan. A missile Titan, the missile one. That's what was supposed to be there. That's a typo, but whatever. A missile Titan that jolts and freezes on hits and slow shockwave on kill. These are only a few examples of what can be possible. There's a huge amount more possible. The Siva enhancement allows you to pick what element you want to put together from all of them and make something new and insane. And yes, exotics get a secret buff if you put it on one. And as they like Bungie, use these ideals, talk to me if they want. And yes, I know obviously thousands of people have ideals and whatever, but honestly, I think this is what the game people want: is abilities that combo. Like Prismatic was on the right track, but it didn't nail it hard enough in my opinion, because there's just so much that didn't combo properly. Like, so the slow dodge that curates Threadling, the Spectre, right? The Threadling Spectre. Yeah, it's broken, it's annoying, but that's not what I feel. At least that's not what we should have been striving for. It should have been combos of actual connection. Like, so if I dodge and create a Threadlings, it creates the slow, right? They nerfed that so it's not as powerful, and that's cool. That should be nerfed. I'm glad they're nerfing that. But then also, the Threadlings come out and they attack something. They get a kill, causes small ignitions or something, like that's what I think the game should be. It should be each ability has multiple effects. So this is why I talk about Siva here. It's because Siva, that is literally what Siva is. It is supposed to be the building blocks of stuff. It's supposed to build cities. We built in weapons. The Fallen made it advanced, right? So that's the point of Siva, is to make things better. So what better way to combo? Everyone's wanted Siva abilities. I want Siva abilities, but in reality, I don't think they'll happen. It just doesn't make any sense, really, lore-wise. The best option, if we get brand new stuff, it's going to be Resonance. It fits everything going on. It just makes the most sense. So I feel like they should add Siva, but add it as an extra. So also, what I don't put in here is the Siva nanites would always be present. So if you throw a melee at someone, right? And you get the Strand Nanites. Instead, you'll have Siva Nanites as well as the Strand Nanites together. So because you put an upgrade, a Siva upgrade, it enhances your abilities, makes it where you do more with them, and more combos with them. So if I do an Arc Chain melee, right, with the Warlock, I call Scorch as well as Volatile with the Arc or something like that. Obviously probably not all three at once, but, or the melee hits and it slows you and jolts you, which would be a bit broken. Don't get me wrong, I understand how broken it'd be. And that's why there should probably be limits in power, crept a little bit in PvP to prevent certain things from being super broken. I'm okay with it, but that's the point I felt like we thought Prismatic would be. In my opinion, I think Prismatic was pretty damn disappointing. Only a couple things were really cool. The Strand Arc melee for the Warlock was cool. They could use the Strand melee and then the Arc dashes. Sadly, though, you don't get the Strand effect. I feel like you should have gotten the Strand effect as well as the Arc effect. I feel like that just would have been obvious. That should have comboed, period. Same thing with the Titan with the Strand and the Stasis, right? It should be the same thing. I feel like they advertised it one way, but in reality they didn't do that. All they did was like, oh, you want 3 melees? So you can do 3 uppercut slams on a Titan for concentration. We'll give you 3 melees. But they could have made them anything. Why did they only make them Strand? I get the Strand had 3 melees and it was easy to convert. Because obviously this was a rush job. Hello. But there should have been other elements, should have been other effects. Like the Strand melee does whatever it's called, right? It does the sever attack or whatever. Those melees should sever. Does that seem a bit broken? Yes, but that is the point of Bungie. You go and look at First Descendant, right? I've been playing a lot of First Descendant. I like it. I like the ability, the fact you can have poison, electricity, fire, all these different elements on one gun, on a single gun. And go on, and yeah, the abilities are limited. But Bungie's proven they can make the abilities less limited, so why not go full hard mode? Like, full chaos and crazy. Why are we being restrictive? If you're like, oh, it's for the sake of PvP. I'm sorry, but PvP's been fucked forever, and it's getting worse. They didn't fix it. They've created a bigger problem, and now they're about to nerf one part of the problem, and there's 2 other parts that are broken, and they're not getting to them until a lot later. So, Warlocks and Titans, you're about to be monsters. Don't you worry. Hunters were the only way that was countering that problem, and now that problem is no longer going to be a problem. So, Warlocks and Titans, you go ham. At the same time, PvP could be a lot better, as they proved with health, and when they increased the health, the weapon balance got a lot better, other than snipers getting absolutely shit on. But yeah. Honestly, I miss snipers being used a lot. I hated people that sat back like cowards, but there were a lot of good players that ran around snipe the way I feel like sniping should be in video games. Yes, in real life, sniping is different, but that's the point of a game, right? You're supposed to not be like real life. It's supposed to be something beyond. That's the point of gaming. It's supposed to be more than just reality. So I feel like that's what Bungie's lacking, and the truth is, we don't know what's next. We have no idea. They won't let us know anything, so that's kind of killing the game. A lot of people are depressed by it because they're like, okay, his final shape was the end. This Frontiers thing, we're not going to get any info in. At the earliest, in September or August, later this month. And that's at the earliest. And we don't know if we're getting anything then either because it started so late in the year. Do we even get that still? Everyone's hoping we do, but Bungie didn't confirm it or say anything about it. They just said later we're learning about it. They said 2025 Frontier, which usually they say, they'll say, oh, we'll have a release about it, like a showcase about it in August or September, whatever it is, right? We don't even know if we're getting that. They never announced that, so we have no fucking clue if we're getting that. So currently, I think the biggest problem to keep people in is, obviously the content's going to be a bit south, so they should build this more. I think they built around these elements combining together into one. I would love a threadling that runs around when I throw a threadling down, a threadling grenade. It goes and jolts targets, or go volatiles them, or go scorches them, or slows them. Would it be annoying in PvP? Yes. Hence why you probably don't use that in PvP. You probably balance it to PvE only. They need to rebalance the PvE anyways. PvE is kind of plain and simple. It's the same thing, straightforward still. There's nothing really build-worthy anymore. And that's the sad reality of it. They took away build crafting when they took away... We had Warmind cells, we had fucking Wellsprings, we had a whole bunch of stuff. Well, Wellsprings, sorry, the Wells or whatever. But I think there was some prior to those. But whatever, we had like Charge of Light, we had all kinds of stuff from back in the day. And it allowed for a lot of build crafting. And a lot of people didn't use them, yeah. But there was a lot of people that did use the maximum build crafting. And then they dropped insane damage, insane stat. Everybody's like, how are you doing that? And then they tell them, and then some more people would start using it. Hell, I knew plenty of people I told about the Warmind builds and stuff, and they started using them for stuff. And that's what we're lacking now. So I feel like this would bring a more of a spice to it. It'll allow your weapons to have multifunction, prismatic basically, because that's what prismatic was supposed to be. They don't have to call it Siva, but I feel like Siva should be there because that's what Siva is. It's the building blocks of everything. It's how they build everything. We created new stuff. We create with it. It feels perfect for enhancing our abilities, our weapons, making them even better. I feel like that's exactly what Siva's designed for. It is perfect for that. And even though they said they don't want to bring Siva back because they feel like the story ended, no, the story didn't end, Bungie. The story was a literal continuum. That's how the story was set up, in my opinion. And a lot of people believe that too. So it's not just a me thing. That's a lot of people thing. So this is a great way to bring Siva back. Single season. You bring it back, it explains this, or hell, you don't have to do it. You have a small side quest that takes you through where you get these Siva things off the ground, and then you enhance them and get them better, and then you can apply them to weapons, apply them to guns, and then kinetic weapons, right? You can apply kinetic weapons, different elements. You can finally make kinetic weapons actually have more of a purpose. Can you imagine kinetic trimmers with a flipping massive amount of elements with it? Like, imagine that, right? Kinetic trimmers goes off, and it causes slow, it causes freeze, it causes ignitions, it causes scorching, which causes ignitions. It does something like that. Like, that'd be cool. Kinetic by itself is trash. They told us they were going to build into it, but they never did. Kinetic trimmers was all we got, and it was trash. Okay, like, I love kinetic trimmers. I think it's good for certain weapons, but primaries, no, I don't like it for primaries. It's only good for some of the specials. And I think there's only like 2 specials that have it or something. So it's like very few that have it worth of shit. So they need to give us more kinetic, and then there was rumor long ago we might be getting a kinetic subclass, and that was long, long ago, which never came to pass, but then they updated the kinetic weapons, gave us kinetic trimmers, gave us other things, they've messed with it a bit. So some people were kind of hoping we were going to get those kinetic supers. We don't know if that was true or not, because that's all it was a leak, was just about kinetic supers. So it wasn't, again, most leaks are fake, don't believe it, but my point is everyone liked that idea. The people that heard about it liked it. I liked that idea. So we should have more build. Or they could just make kinetic Siva. I mean, fuck it, right? Like, at this point. But the other thing is we get tons of poison. Well, we don't get tons, but we've gotten several poison type things now. We got kinetic. We got necrotic grips. We got thorn. We got the Austriga. We've got necrochasm using poison. We've got what's it called? The scout. I can't think of the scout right now. My brain, fuck me. But it uses poison too now. So a whole bunch of stuff uses poison, right? So why don't we get more Siva guns? Exotics. Even if they're just exotics, it'd be cool. But I feel like this is the way to do it. Bring Siva back where it's a permanent thing, but it's also not really a big thing, but it is because it advances your guns, but it's a side thing. It's not really part of the main story thing. Or anything. It's like on the side. We go to Nessus after this season, right? We go to Nessus after we do all this for the failsafe. We go into her vehicle or in her ship, and we find a little bit of Siva remaining, and then we apply it to our guns, and then we find a replicator, and we replicate it slowly. We take it to Ada 1, and she slowly replicates more and more Siva. So every season, so sort of like how the armor mods work, right? It's a little limited, but not like that, obviously. Not like the armor transmog shit. That's just all fucked. But I mean, like, in the same concept, where it's a little bit limited, but it's weekly limited or something. So you can bring it out, every week you get a few, and you do them. There's like a quest line for it. You put it on a weapon, you have to get certain kills with that weapon, and it enhances that weapon, makes it better. And then you can combo elements, combo effects, any type of perk that comes from specific void, solar, arc stuff you can put on it. But at the same time, you can change it anytime you want. It's an unlock thing. So once you unlock it, you can unlock any of them. So you go and unlock void for it, then arc, then solar, then stasis, then strand, depending on what it is, then kinetic, like whatever it is. You get those perks unlocked. But then you could switch at any point through those perks. It would allow Prismatic 2.0. People would be like, oh, well, what's the point of the different slots? Well, that's the point. There's not needed to be. It allows you to combo and create your own builds and be more creative and create crazier chaos. That's what I always felt this game is missing. It's the chaos. It used to have it, but then obviously it got more advanced, and it didn't get more advanced with the chaos. The chaos stayed the old self, which was good at the time, but now it's so boring and consistent, and everyone is like, wow, we can outdo this without a problem. And they started the right way with Prismatic, but again, they didn't really do it all the way. They just kind of half-assed it or quickly done it or something, and there's a lot missing. I don't hate Bungie for it. I think they did good here. But sadly, there's a lot missing still, and they really need to look at it. In my opinion, they really need to relook at it. Because Prismatic is the right direction. It's just not finished. It was a base form, which obviously we got a couple more seasons this year, or episodes or whatever, and they might add a whole bunch of stuff to it. But really, they always add aspects, and that's all they ever add. So honestly, I don't think they're going to do much with it. Like, the fact it's only a grenade, Prismatic isn't the combination of everything. The combination of everything is its own thing. Prismatic, in my opinion, is the transcendence part, which is only the increase to your grenade of being a unique grenade. And that grenade doesn't even stack with anything, which is stupid. Why won't it stack with everything? They're not broken beyond belief. A lot of them are kind of eh. Like, it's hit or miss. It's either really good or really bad, depending on the situation. So this should combo with other things, in my opinion. It really should. But that's the thing. So like I said, prismatic is the right step, but it's not the right step fur enough. It's just barely touching the little edges of it. I think this is the best way to fix it. I honestly do. And I think a lot of people at first were saying, oh, this is broken as hell. No, this ain't okay. But then if you actually got to play with something like this, I promise you, you would actually enjoy this. Because this would actually make the game so much different and allow you to build craft the way every other game allows you to build craft. Like First Descendants build crafting is crazy. Again, the abilities are different. They are limited as well, which is, again, what I think lacks in a lot of games. They limit the abilities because they don't want them to be too overpowered. But in reality, in PvE, it doesn't matter. In PvP, the scaling can be a bit rough. I won't lie. It would be a bit rough to try to balance that. I understand that completely. I get it. Most other games don't have a PvP, so they don't really have to worry about that issue. But PvE, I think they should increase the health of all the bosses, increase the health of all the ads. Not their damage, especially in harder stuff right now. Their damage is definitely like set in stone. But the fact a red bar on hard difficulty activities where I can be way under light and I can still one or two tap with a hand cannon and a few bullets of an SMG, I think is stupid. It's stupid easy. And yeah, you can die still, and that's why I think their damage is fine. It can still plate you, but it should take more than one or two bullets to kill something. It's hard mode after all. It's not supposed to be easy. For those that are like, oh, no, we want it to be easier. No, it's hard mode. Do y'all not understand? Have you not played hard mode in any other game before? There are parts of it that are easy, and then there's parts of it that are fucking harder than shit. And a raid should be harder than shit. Okay, I should have to spend days trying to complete it, not a one afternoon get it all done type thing. Just one challenge. It's because the ads are so squishy still. And I get why they did that, because at one point they were a lot tougher. They upped the weapons, but they didn't really mess with the health on the ads enough. They did a little bit here and there over the years, but they haven't done enough, in my opinion. I think if they did this, if they healed the ads and increased all their health, not by a huge amount, I'm not talking about like 100% or something, I'm talking about, like 50%. Which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It would allow it to take a couple extra bullets depending on the weapon, a few extra bullets depending on the weapon. It would allow you to actually build craft more and have exotics and stuff have multiple elements, do multiple things, so they do a lot more damage, but because there's more health, you won't be nuking it. You'll be nuking it a little less. Basically, well, I guess maybe doubling health would actually be that perfect, but either way, I'm not perfect on the numbers, but yeah. Creativity is what makes this game great, but we've lost the creativity. That's the whole point. I think Siva is the way to do it. They bring Siva back. Siva nanites will be in your abilities. Siva nanites will be in all of your weapons, constantly having effects, constantly multiple elements proccing at once. You can use your stasis hand cannon to break void shields as well, or break kinetic shields, so if we ever get kinetic shields, right? Hopefully one day. That's what it should be. It should be a combination of things at once you should be able to do. Have the rocket sidearms. It causes arc and fucking solar. Could you imagine that? You could jolt stuff and scorch at the same time. Be like, oh, that's broken. Yeah, that's the point. Increase the ad density, increase the ad health. You've got a chaos moment where it's just tons of stuff going off at once. And they have increased the density by a lot with that new activity they did. I've done it a couple times, and yeah, there's a huge increase. Even I can feel the increase. Now, I feel like they could probably do more, but I get it. The server's a bit limited. Bungie, that's why we should update our server. Cough, cough. But that's okay. That's all I'm saying. If you like the video, you like the video. If you don't, you don't. It's no hate. It's just an idea I think that would actually help this game. And a lot of people probably disagree, and a lot of people probably agree. They're probably like, oh, that's pretty cool. And obviously, it's not perfect. There's some tweaks to it. I didn't explain it all perfectly and all. Also, the exotics would get a special thing where they could use 3 elements. But 2 elements would be more than 1. So, how do I explain it? I forgot to explain the exotic thing. Because I didn't put it here for this exact reason. Cough, cough. Just saying. So, let's say use I don't know, Kvostov, right? You can get, so it has kinetic automatically, right? So you can get 2 other elements for it. Let's say Void and Solar, or Arc and Solar. Actually, Arc and Solar, because I like Arc and Solar. Actually, better yet, Stasis and Solar, because I love Stasis Solar. So now you create Headstone, right? It gets Headstone, and it gets Scorching. But here's how they balance it. Depending on which one you put on it first, or the one in which order. So if it's Headstone, then Scorch after the kinetic. Then it'll create Headstone, it'll create those crystals, and then when you break a crystal, it'll call Scorch. Or vice versa, when you scorch something and it dies to ignitions from Scorch, or burns out, or you kill something with it, then it'll create Headstones, you see? Or create ignition, you create a slow effect when an ignition is created. That's how you would do it. So you'd stack the Scorch effect, basically. You get a kill, it causes ignition, and then, well, those tiny ignitions like what's it called? Incandescent, right? Like that. And it scorches things, and you do it enough, eventually it scorches and spreads, and it causes a slow effect when it ignites, something like that. That's what I mean. Like, there needs to be combos. And that's what I feel like they need to go, is make these elements actually work together. That's what's supposed to happen, after all. The lore states we can now access abilities like that, but yet we don't do it like that, so we should do it like that. And yes, Crucible will have some issues. I am very much aware of it. But at this point, fuck Crucible, man. I'm sorry, but fuck Crucible. I love Crucible. I want it to be balanced, but it's never going to be balanced. It's obvious. They're trying their best, but their best is not good enough. Not because they're trash, but because it's just the way it's made. It is what it is. They would have to separate it completely and have a completely different system for Crucible for it to work. And that's the truth to it. But they don't have the ability to do that, completely separating it all the way completely and have totally different weapons and abilities. Maybe they do. Maybe they do have the concept. They can do that, then sweet. If they can't, But I feel like PvE would be a lot better if this system. I feel like being able to actually create more elements with one gun and creating more effects with one gun would be insane. Because then you could have every single element on all of your guns total, right? All of them combined on all of your guns, and you could be creating effects everywhere. Shoot a rocket or shoot, those new stasis, what are they called? Those new stasis grenade launchers, right? Imagine putting that on a waveframe grenade launcher or somewhere you could actually call slow effect, right? Like, that'd be cool. Just saying, it'd be pretty cool. That's all I'm saying. I think it'd be really cool to do that, Bungie. Really should probably look into this. At least if they're not going to do it with the weapons, do it with the abilities. Or if you don't want to do it with the abilities, do it with the weapons. Like, at least something. The fact that First Descendant brought the ability for their weapons to have all the elements procced at once is insane. Like, Bungie, you were old enough and better enough. You should have done this before. You're being honest, and the fact we got prismatic abilities, but we never got a prismatic weapon as well, that's what ticks me off. We should have gotten prismatic. Every other thing has gotten a weapon for, but prismatic now. And usually they bring the weapon out with it or before it, so it's kind of weird. So hopefully next season we actually get prismatic weapons, which would be multi-weapons. So, Bungie, please give us multi-weapons. That's all I'm saying. We'd really love it. Anyways, that's the video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. What you think? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Siva should return this matter? Or do you think it should be its own self, or should it be something completely different? I think this is the best way to bring it back, personally, because that's what it is designed for. It's designed to create, enhance, and make better. So I feel like this is perfect. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment what you think. Let me know. We out. Adios. Y'all have a good day.